right now. We
Hey,
have
hey brother, we
sisters that come with their children. They come all the way from Lakeland.
you live on
It might be a new person.
y'all on YouTube too though. I'm gonna go and put my
So yeah, we're really making a great time. We're building time. Beginning stages of Northwest Tampa. All right, so that might be hard in the angle.
right. I'm gonna just hold it.
What's that? Your channel?
Right. I got a little fan base, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Not big.
Okay, did you know that a high holy day just passed?
Pentecost, right?
New moon was last night. Today's the ending of new moon. So this is what I say. IUIC says full moon is the new moon. And that's not right. The new moon is when it's all black. So, like I said, you have to be careful to ask questions. Yes, Pentecost just finished like 3 days ago. Pentecost. You know about Pentecost? When you get the Lord's High Holy Days. That just passed. So now we're in the 5th month, the first day, the second half of the first day. So remember our days start at night. Days start at night, evening and morning. So used to. But I mean, all you gotta do really is remember, the evening and the morning. So it tells you, I think, it started dark first before the light. Everything was dark before the light. Sunset. The Saturday, right? And once it gets pure dark, they'll start Saturday. Then they don't end their Sabbath until it's pure dark again. You see what I'm saying? Now there's a problem. The problem is that in the summertime the days are longer. Some of the days are longer, right? And Christ has said, you say Jesus, you say Christ, you say Yahushai, Yeshua, Jesus. All right, good, because I don't. You have a lot of candidates that, you have to say Yahushai, or you have to say Yeshua, or you have to say Yahushua,
Right.
or you have to say,
That's crazy though, because like if we just waking up to the truth, you can't come with Yahushai or Yahweh or you know what I mean? They're not gonna understand it.
They don't know Yahweh and Yahushai is the same person.
Right. Right. From first of all.
And there's a father above that, you know what I mean? So, all right, so yeah, set it off, baby. Set it off. Say a couple things. All right, we're gonna send our prayers in a second.
Shalom, grace, and peace. Here we are live at 1 West Tampa. Address 10921 North 56th Street, Suite 258 here in Tampa. We already have a schedule of classes Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. We're just getting a Saturday schedule set. We usually go out on the streets.
What's the Saturday
The
schedule?
street ministry, Saturday and Sunday. So now I guess our Saturday schedule will be 10 a.m. 10 a.m. until, I guess we should say until.
The brothers come back from camp and then
Right.
after that.
Right, because I guess we do at least, just want to say a 2-hour class. So let's say 10 a.m. to noon. We usually go out in the street ministry Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday afternoon still, and Sunday afternoons we'll be doing our street ministry in Tampa or St. Pete, because we go over to St. Pete with Brother Marquez out of Martin Luther King.
Right.
And do the Lord's work. So, all praise is best for another day. Day 1 of the 5th month is the day that we're in. Day 1 meaning new moon day. It is new moon day. So happy new moon.
The second half.
Right, second half, right? The day, right? Evening and morning were the first day. So the evening's gone, and now we're in the day. First day of the 5th month, meaning new moon day. It's a holy convocation. A day of no work, no buying, no selling, but you can cook. We got on the grill last night. New moon days, we might like to make a habit of here in One West. We cook on New Moon Day. Only convocation.
Let me say something real quick. You're gonna have to download Telegram, like I said, so we can keep you track, because on Sabbaths, on new moon, which those are all go and eat a little bit and we'll do, all right.
Exactly. All praises. New moon and Sabbath. So that's good knowing that. Being in the truth as Israelite, we have 5 high holy days, holy convocations every month. That being a new moon day, which is today, and 4 Sabbaths. That's 5 high holy days every month. Holy convocations where we get together. Okay, new moon day, we cook as a congregation. Get on the grill. Our brothers and sisters, bring what you like to have, and grill and cook. And then Sabbaths, we congregate. As a brother just brought out, the understanding of that the moon is the biblical calendar, and that's what we teach. We teach 3 things basic. There's 3 basic, we call it 3 basic teachings. Nationality, right? We know our nationality. Well, we're the Israelites, right? The people of the book. Okay. Secondly is the heritage, our culture, which is the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And the Most High's calendar. Meaning the moon is a calendar. The moon has 30 days the moon has 30 phases, meaning 30 days. Like in scripture, like you bring out all the time, Psalms 90 verse 12 says, teach us to number our days. Right? But we were taught name days. We were taught Sunday through Saturday. We were taught January through December. Well, here in the scripture says, teach us to number our days. So that's how we know. Notice when you read the scripture says, you see 1st month, 5th month, 7th month, 14th day, 15th day, 10th day, right? You never see Sunday through Saturday. You don't see December, January. Every day in the scriptures are all high holy days, are all numbered. So that's how we got the understanding of, and that's what we teach here. And it'll become easier and easier, because you know how to count to 30, right? We've been knowing how to count to 30 since we were kids, but other camps, like brothers said, makes it seem like it's deep, but it's nothing.
It sounds easy.
It sounds easy to count to 30, just right. You know what I mean? But as you get to understand over a while, over a couple months. Well, I say a couple months because we observe the moon. You'll notice new moon day, there's no moon. The 15th or 14th, that even 15th day is full every single month. And that's how it goes. Now, if you look at the Gregorian calendar, if you, let's say, a 15th day, it's not the same day 3 days in a row, but always it's the same in the scriptures. The moon, the 30 days is the same every single month. Like to say, the law of the Lord is perfect, right? He created the sun, moon, and stars. That's a big clock in the heavens, but we don't use that, right? Because we're in the land of our captivity, and we understand, what Job 9:34, the earth is given to the wicked. So the truth is in the scriptures. All right, and the understanding of that is coming out. So a lot of brothers and sisters are getting understanding. It's just, this is one of the last, I would say, understanding. That's man. You want to set the prayers, and then we'll read the alabaster box. All right, let's stand up and face the east. East is this way.
You want to blow the horn and set the prayer?
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, you got next time.
All right.
All right, blow the trumpet. That was a nice one right there.
That bass.
Glory.
Okay, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those that sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Abanawa, by the in the name of your Son, Yahweh, who came down as Jesus Christ, we thank you for everything you've done. So we thank you for the moon, thank you for the high holy days, the Pentecost that just passed. Father God, we thank you for everything you've done for us, for helping us open up this school when people thought we could not do it. All power is for you. Everything is under your power. It cannot be done unless it was through you. Father God, we thank you for everything. We thank you for the food, for the drink. We thank you for the congregation and for the knowledge you've bestowed upon us, for us to continue to go out there and do your work and to fulfill your will, Father God. In the name of your Son, Yahweh, who came to the earth as Jesus Christ, we say, Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Whew. All right. So, you don't have a question, I'm gonna ask you a question. Because if you've been awake for about a year, you've been awake for about a year. So that means you're not just, a run in the middle, like you're not just waking up like. Okay. All right. The question, I'm gonna ask it first, and then I'm gonna ask you. All right. What is the gospel, and what does gospel mean?
Gospel is, I think it's Greek for good news.
Okay.
And some may interpret it, the Christians interpreted the gospel as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You know what I mean? They basically the life of Christ. You see what I'm saying? But when we when you I always like to refer to Paul when I talk about
That's
the
good.
gospel. Me personally.
That's good, because that's where we're going. We're going to put the right
Exactly.
Paul.
Exactly.
That's good. Okay, so what?
Let's see
what about Paul?
When you have to see what Paul says about the gospel, if you ask me, because he was like the forerunner of the.
Where did he say that at?
Excuse me.
Where did he say about the gospel?
What did he say about?
You're doing good. You're doing good.
What did he say about the gospel?
Where?
Oh,
where in the New
where?
Testament can I hear about Paul speaking of the gospel directly about the gospel? He says this is the gospel of Christ.
If I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, in the book of Acts. If I'm not mistaken.
It's in Acts.
14, Acts 14 or 17.
It's in Acts. Well, let's get the scripture. I'll go halfway with you. You can find it in Acts. You can find it in Acts, but where I'm asking is in a different place. But you're on it.
Right.
You're definitely on it.
We're bringing about
Right. Oh, right. I'm sorry.
Matthew 26.
Read that first.
Explain. All right. All right. We're in the book of St. Matthew, chapter 26, verse 6. Now, the reason why we read this, every time we try to remember to open in prayer and to read this passage in Matthew, chapter 26, verse 6 through 13, is Christ is commanding us to remember this woman as a memorial of this woman that did a wonderful work for him with this ointment on his body before he was basically killed, crucified. So Christ has us every time we bring out the gospel, like the brothers asking about the gospel, every time we bring out the gospel, before we get our lesson started, we like to bring out Matthew chapter 26, verse 6. Have to, right? It's a commandment, right? St. Matthew chapter 26, verse 6. Now, when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily, I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman hath done, be told for a memorial of her.
Okay, so Christ, Messiah commanded us to remember this woman. So, we're supposed to honor what she did, which was anointing Messiah before his death and burial. Scriptures call it his passion, when he suffered. And we're commanded to bring this woman out when the gospel is being preached. Well, it says the gospel. So what is the gospel? Well, at least Hezekiah mentioned, the gospel. And what was you said? The gospel, you can find it in the New Testament.
Correct.
Gospel means good news.
Right.
Okay. what is?
What is
you
God?
got. Now we're going to Paul. You said Paul. We're
Paul.
going to Paul's writing because he definitely does define what is the gospel of Christ. This is what we're supposed to be preaching out there. I'm going to show you other things that are attached also to gospel, but the gospel, like the main essence, the kernel, the soul of the gospel is what we're searching for, and then we're going to go into the additives of that, okay? Okay, so now, go ahead, please. You said Acts?
Yeah, I'm looking right now, but I don't know the exact page where I'm.
Okay, well, in Acts, Christ, Paul does speak of the gospel. He does constantly. He always preached the gospel. What I'm looking for is the definition of what is the gospel. Like, yeah, you know, the good news. What is the good news? Well, I'm gonna read some good news for you. Okay, let's read the good news. Give me Revelations 13, 9, and 10. Also, I want Psalms 149 and 5. I want to start with those two right there. Also, I want Luke 168. Yeah, in that order. Or whatever order. Just start. Yeah, okay.
All right, we're in the book of Revelations, chapter 13. And I'll start at verse 9. Revelation 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Yeah.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
Yeah.
Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Okay, did we grasp what we just read right there? I mean, we're going to read it again. I just wanted to read the whole thing, so I like to let it marinate in the mind a little bit, right? All right, so I'm going to read both verses again. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed by the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Bam. Okay. Starting from the top here.
Revelations 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Now, every man has an ear, right? Everybody got ears.
Right.
Everybody has ears. It says, if any man has ear to hear, well, every person is born with ears, unless you're born without ears, you still got the hole in your head, right?
Yeah.
You're born with ears. Like everybody, basically, a normal person is born with ears.
Right.
But what is this talking about? If any man has an ear, let him hear. It's talking about your spiritual ear, your mind, the spirit, your spiritual ear to hear this. Because not everybody's gonna understand. But I mean, you tell somebody you're an Israelite, and they're looking at you like, what? What are you talking about?
Right.
What is that? You can ask a regular Christian and they won't know what an Israelite is. An Israelite is all through the scriptures, from Revelations to Genesis to back to Revelations.
Right.
Okay? So it says, if any man have an ear, it's talking about that spiritual ear, your spiritual ear. And if we're sitting in this room, it's because we have a spiritual ear. There was something that, we were like, oh, wait a minute, that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? That's your spiritual ear. That's hearing, right? All right, give me the next verse.
Revelation 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go. He that leadeth into captivity shall
Maybe. I think so.
Shall go into captivity.
So let me get that. So what we just read is that he that leadeth into captivity, all right, now, wasn't our people led into captivity? By all nations of the earth? Well, yeah. He that leadeth into captivity. So who was the people that led us into captivity? We had Esau. We had Ishmael. Esau is the so-called white race. So we had Ishmael, the so-called Arabs. And we have so-called Africans.
A lot of them.
Right? The native Africans. And every other nation. Well, we built the Great Wall of China. Right? We was in slavery on the Silk Road, the Silk Road trade. Right? Chinaman trading us, right? You had the Trans-Sahara slave, Sub-Sahara slave, which is like the transatlantic slave, right?
Right.
So he, which is these other nations, he that leads people into captivity, into slavery, shall, and that's not a maybe, right? Remember the Lord said, my word does not come out of my mouth void. it's going to come back fulfilling something. Something's going to get fulfilled, right? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So now, the gospel means good news. Well, for the people that are still in captivity, would that not be good news? That eventually our oppressors will meet the same fate as what they put us under? Is that not good news?
Right.
That's the gospel. That's good news. If that's not good news, then you got a problem. You have been institutionalized if that's not good news. Right?
You're right.
So it says, he that leaveth in captivity must go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword. Now, who was the main culprit of killing with the sword?
Esau.
Can we get a scripture?
In Genesis.
Let's get that.
When he was blessed with, he asked for a blessing.
Get that, please, and we're going to read it.
Let me see what that is. Genesis 20.
What, 27?
Yeah, from Isaac, when he asked for a blessing from Isaac, he was like, I know it.
26, 27, somewhere around there?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, let's get it. Find the exact scripture, so I'm not going to go to it.
All right, gotcha.
So, that's good news. Okay, well, we got it.
All right, we're in the book of Genesis, chapter 27, verse 41.
Okay.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
No. I'm talking about.
He asked for,
Get it for me.
I'm going to look for it. I'm on it. I know it's in
I
there.
don't want to go to it, because I want you guys to get it. Am I going to go? Am I going to get it before you?
Nah, no, you ain't.
Don't let me get it before you, man.
I'm going to read Genesis 27 and 40 right before. It says, and by the sword shalt thou live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And shalt serve thy brother.
That's the one That's the one. That's the one you just read?
Well, 40 and 41. I read 41 first. That was 40 I just read.
40.
40.
Okay, that's the one I want.
Genesis 27 verse 40. And by the sword.
By what?
And by the sword.
By the what?
The
But
sword.
let's go back to Revelations real quick. Let's see who really fits this to the T. Who's the first nation that fits this to a T? Tell me where you were. Read that again.
Revelations 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must.
He that killeth with what?
He that killeth with the
Well,
sword.
let's find out the biggest culprit, the one who did it on a higher level,
Right.
the one who did it on the level of blessing, of what he was blessed to do
Right.
with. Well, let's read that. Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to the prophecy. Tell me where you at.
Genesis 27.
It's going to make sense as we go along. It's going to make sense. It's going to make sense.
Genesis 27 and 40. And by the sword shalt thou live.
Whose prophecy is this for? Whose blessing was this for?
Esau.
Esau.
So what was his blessing? By what?
And by the sword.
By the sword. He that killeth with the sword. So go ahead, read on.
And by the sword shalt thou live. And shalt serve thy brother.
Right. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke.
Now give me the one that about the dew. You shall cover the good spots of the dew of the earth.
We just covered that the other night. Too.
That's in the same. It's in the same chapter. It's in the same blessing. Yeah, it's in the same blessing, bro. It's in the same blessing. Go up. Go up 2 verses.
Yep, 39.
Let's get it.
Genesis 27:39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
So Esau's blessing was to have the fatness of the best parts of the earth. That was his blessing. That was his blessing. The best parts of the earth. And what we just read after that is, how did he obtain these best parts, these choice parts of the earth? Well, through the sword.
Right.
And it says he shall cover the earth with like dew, meaning you're going to be in every continent, all over the planet, ruling, controlling in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it will be by what? By the sword. That's what we wanted to touch on. So let's go back. Let's go back to Revelations 13 and 10. Now let me know if I'm going too fast. Let me know. If you have a question, something pops up, stop me. Don't be scared to raise your hand. You stop me and we'll stop. And you too. If anybody got something, and somebody is on Periscope,
shoot something out, and we're going too fast, right? Something you want me to go over again, all right?
Finish that verse.
Finish it.
Right. Okay. Genesis 27:39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above.
When you wake up in the morning and the grass is wet, that's dew.
Right.
It covers everything, and everything in the morning. Everywhere on the whole planet. Whatever time, early in the morning, where it comes out, wherever part of the planet, it covers everything. That's what it's saying. You're going to be everywhere. Like dew is everywhere, you're going to be everywhere. Are they not everywhere? Are they not in Africa?
Right.
Are they not Africa trying to kick the natural Africans out of there? You don't belong there. It's too hot for you over there. Right? Are they not in Russia? Are they not in America? Are they not running parts, are they not ruling governments in South America?
Right.
Venezuela?
Right.
They got the fatness. That's their prophecy. But remember, it's through the sword, right? So now, the gospel means the good news. So if you read Revelations 13, 9 and 10, it's saying, listen, these people that did wrong, did you wrong, you know what? You're going to get them back through righteousness. You're going to be able to pay them back for what they did to you. Is that not good news?
It is.
It's good news for me. That's the gospel. That is part of the gospel. You see that?
Right.
It's part of the gospel. Okay, which means the good news. Now, let's get another one. Give me, what's the other one I told you? Give me Luke?
Yeah, Luke 1.
Give me Luke 169. Luke 169. We're going to go on to, and the other one is Psalms 149:5. See, what we're doing is we're showing, you see, because the gospel means the good news. So what we're showing is there's the main gospel, and there's branches that branch off of that. That's also part of the gospel, but it's not the essence of what is the gospel.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Are we good? It's not the essence of what is the gospel, but it is part of the gospel nonetheless. But not the main part of it. You see what I'm saying? That's not the main part. What? Our enemies put us into captivity. They killed our people. They raped, robbed, they murdered us.
Right.
They continue to oppress us. They continue to hide who we are. They stole our identity. Should they get paid back? Yeah, of course, right? That's the gospel, right? That's what we're waiting for. That's good news. But you know what? There's something greater than that. Why? Because we broke the commandments. This happened to us because of us.
Right.
We caused this problem. Okay? And because of the love that the Creator and His Son who created, the Father who created His Son who created everything, right? This is what He promises us, right? Okay, so now we have to realize is that there is something more to the gospel than just ruling over our enemies. There's something more important than just ruling the planet Earth. There's something more important than just being in control of the planet Earth. There's something more important than having spiritual power. There's something more important than having our slaves or the people that are under us, right, carrying us to go wherever the hell we want to go. There's something more to that, and a lot of Israelites are not seeing that. So they think that this is the only gospel. This is not the only gospel. This is a branch of the gospel. It is not the essence or the soul of the gospel. This is what we're going to go into. Paul defines that to a T. What is the gospel? But I'm going to show you other branches of the gospel before we go into what it is. Okay? Tell me where you at.
All right, we're in the book of St. Luke, chapter 1 and
68?
No,
8.
68. Okay. St. Luke. St. Luke chapter 1, verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for He hath visited and redeemed His people.
Hear that for a second. It said, blessed is the God of Israel, who has visited and redeemed His people. Is that not good news? That's great news. That's great news. That's phenomenal news, right? Because we needed this. We needed this, right? But that's not the truth. That's not the essence of the gospel. You see that? It's part of the gospel, but it's part of it, but it's not the essence of what is the gospel. Read on.
St. Luke chapter 1, verse 69. And hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David.
Now give me that.
And have raised up a horn of salvation. Who's the horn of salvation that was raised up?
Christ.
Baby. That's Christ. That's the horn of salvation. The horn meaning the power of salvation. Power of salvation. That should give you a hint. Now I'm going to give you, that's a hint of what is the gospel. Read that part again.
St. Luke 169, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David.
Okay.
That's part of the God. That's a hint of what is the gospel. And I'm going to say that like that. Just remember that. Okay, keep that in your mind. Read on.
Verse 70, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved.
Wait. Read that part again. His holy prophets.
As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets.
Give me that. So wait, no. Read a little more.
Which have been since the world began.
Stop.
When he spake by the holy prophets, in which from the beginning of the earth, these prophets were speaking about, right? So what is this telling you? Was Adam not a prophet?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Was Noah not a prophet?
Right.
Was Enoch not a prophet?
Right.
Enoch, you read in the book of Jude about Christ coming. So what is this telling you? This is telling you that all the prophets from the beginning were speaking about Jesus Christ. The Lord coming to redeem his people. The Lord coming to judge the wicked.
Right.
That's what we're reading right here. Abel, wasn't he not a prophet? Zacharias, wasn't he not a prophet? By the mouth of the holy prophets since the beginning, these prophets was prophesying about the Lord coming. Right? Even before the flood, they were prophesying about the Lord coming, about Jesus Christ coming and judging the earth on the final judgment.
Right.
So that's something interesting to know about right there from back then. Well, how we prove that? Well, let's go to Jude real quick. Give me Jude chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. Just to prove that real quick. By the mouth of his holy prophets, since the world began, they were preaching about the Lord coming and redeeming his people and judging the earth.
Jude 14.
Right.
Book of Jude, verse 14. Jude is right before Revelations. The book before Revelations, Jude. And it has 25 verses.
It's a little book.
All right, Jude, verse 14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam.
Well, Enoch. Well,
Enoch was before the flood. The seventh from Adam. Enoch was before the flood.
Right.
Enoch's a prophet. Go ahead.
And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied.
All right, now hold that, and give me Revelations. Give me Revelations real quick. The Spirit of Christ is the prophecy. The Spirit of prophecy. Speaking of Christ is the Spirit of prophecy. Where's that at? The Spirit of prophecy. Speaking about Christ is the Spirit of prophecy. All right, we'll look it up right now real quick. No biggie. Give me a second. Let me check something.
Revelations 19:10. Let me get that, priest Hezekiah.
Revelations
19 and 10.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 19, verse 10.
Read that.
And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not.
So the angel said, don't worship me, but don't go on your knees and worship me. Go ahead.
I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus.
The testimony of Jesus. Go ahead.
Worship God. The testimony of Jesus.
For the testimony of Jesus, go ahead.
Is the spirit of what? Is the spirit of prophecy.
So when you're prophesying in the spirit of Jesus Christ. And we just read that the prophets from old prophesied of Christ coming. And we just read in Jude that Jude. So this isn't new news. This is being talked about, it's been talked about since the beginning of time, since Adam, of the Lord coming and judging the earth. you at?
Jude Jude verse 14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints. Verse 15, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed.
So now we just read, what we've been reading so far is stuff that to me sounds like good news.
Right.
The Lord coming to judge the wicked, to come and relieve us from our enemies. This is good news. Like those who put us in captivity, they're going to go into captivity. That's good news.
Yeah.
But that's not the essence of the gospel. We're going to read the definition of what is the gospel, so you guys could know what the gospel is. Okay, we'll go to Psalms 149 and 5. We're not going to go to that. I think I pretty much made my point, right?
Right.
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
All that stuff is good news. But that's not the essence of the gospel. All right, let's read the gospel. Well, you said in the writings of Paul, right?
Right.
So which writings in Paul do we go to that gives us the definition of what is the true gospel? We need to go to 2 Corinthians.
Corinthians?
1 Corinthians, I'm sorry. 1 Corinthians chapter what? Yeah. If you ever want to show somebody what is the true gospel, you have to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, because Paul lays it out. He tells you what is the gospel. Everything else is a branch off of what the gospel is. But the main gospel, what makes everything else possible is this chapter right here. Because without this, everything else is lost. Without this, we can't have everything else. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So what Paul is going to explain to us is what is the gospel, the true gospel, the true good news. Because hey, I can have my enemies under my feet, right? I can have control of the earth, or go and decide, I want to make a plan. I want to fly to the ends of the cosmos, create a whole cosmos, and start my whole planet with other people on it and all that. That sounds like good news to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it would not be possible without the true gospel. This is what we're going to prove. Tell them where you at and start from the top.
We're in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15, starting at verse 1. 1 Corinthians 15 and 1. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel.
Read that again.
Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel.
Let me get that. So what we're reading here is Paul is going to declare what is the gospel, right? He says, moreover, meaning now, right? Moreover, brethren, I declare. What it means, I declare. He's making it known. He's going to make it known so we don't forget. Okay? He goes, I declare, okay, unto you the gospel. So he's going to tell us what is the gospel. Okay, we're going to find out what is the gospel, the true gospel. Give me verse 2. No, read out after the gospel. Read from the top, read verse 1.
1 Corinthians 15, 1. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached.
Give me that. The gospel which he preached. Okay, Paul preached the gospel. And you was right. He did preach the gospel.
Right.
So now we're going to see what is it of the gospel that he was preaching, right? So he goes, I preached, declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, meaning constantly. It was always the same and it never changed. And today is the same thing. It hasn't changed yet. What is the gospel? Okay, read on.
Which also I have received.
Wait. Which also I have received. Received from whom? Who did he receive this information from?
No, you talking to me? I was reading.
His eyes just look like, yo.
Okay, so
answer the question. I don't want to bother her too much.
Answer the question one more time.
I don't want to put no pressure on her.
Ask me one more time.
Put pressure on you, please. So you lucked out, sis. You lucked out. You lucked out for now.
I was trying to read it here and see if I could get it, but what did you
read it again.
Ask me one more time.
Now let me just say this. We like to have fun up here.
Right.
Okay. This isn't one of those boring forums. It's like, like we're the Stoics. Like when you read about the Stoics in Acts, these are the people that were serious.
Oh, you say who did he receive it from?
Right.
Oh, he was not.
They would smile. They would stay serious. Like, no. We're gonna have fun here, right? This is wonderful. This is the guy. If the gospel's a good news, why can't we have fun? Why can't we have fun?
Right.
Teaching it, right? Well, look, there was a sister. I don't know if she looked at me. I don't know. I don't know if she's coming in, but
I'm telling you, going to his office here.
probably. I hope they don't say nothing about this. This is what I'm worried about. That's why I'm gonna get that curtain there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so it says, moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also have received. So if he received it, he had to receive it from somebody. Must have told him, right? How did he receive it? How did he receive this gospel? That's the question.
That's a good question.
How did he receive the gospel?
You mean like literally or like?
How did he receive the gospel?
I think. Well, he was a persecutor of the so-called Christians at that time.
Okay.
And he got knocked off his horse in
Damascus.
Yeah, he was in Damascus. He got knocked off his horse,
Mm-hmm.
and he was hearing the Lord was speaking to him, and he was
got
like,
knocked off his high horse, right?
Right, and the Lord was like, and he was like, who are you, Lord? You know what I mean? That I should listen to you, or something like that of that nature. And then
He said, Jesus, who you're persecuting.
Right.
It's easier for you to kick against the pricks. Well, what's wrong with you? You're gonna hurt yourself.
So basically, he got it from the Most High. Then
You got it from who?
Christ.
Hey, there you go.
Christ.
He's the one who taught him the gospel. Remember, he tells you in another part of Corinthians, I ain't learned this from no man. So if you didn't learn it from no man, he learned it from Christ himself. When you read other parts of the New Testament, when you read it, I'm gonna tell you Galatians chapter 1, he tells you he learned the gospel from Christ on Mount Sinai, where Moses received the law. On Mount Sinai, 3 years he was learning under Christ. 3 years before he came back. 3 years he learned the gospel under Christ, personally. Okay? So this is what he's saying. Read that again.
1 Corinthians 15:1. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also you have received, and wherein ye stand.
All right, so wherein you stand, or what he's saying is wherein you are taking your stand, like what you're standing to believe in.
Right.
What's your stance on this issue? That's what he's saying.
Basically, your stance.
So your stance on the issue is the gospel, and what we're going to read on is what is the gospel. This is what we need to be standing in. This is what we need to take our stance in. And what is the gospel? Okay, so he's telling them, listen, what you believe in and what you putting your feet on and what you standing up for. This is the same thing that I've been preaching to you. That's what he's saying. Okay, read on.
1 Corinthians 15:2. By which also ye are saved.
So it says, by which also ye are saved. Now, are we saved yet?
No.
Well, this says those that endure to the end shall be saved. Right? You have Christians, they don't know no better, right? So they think, I'm saved in the blood of Jesus. They don't keep no commandments. So are they truly saved?
No.
They haven't been truly saved yet. Well, why? Because Christ ain't come back to make the decision to see if you're going to be saved or not. So you're not really saved yet. You have to get judged first. And if you're not keeping the commandments, you're going to get judged for not keeping the commandments. Well, you have faith in Christ? Fine. Well, you got half of it done, right? Revelation 14:12. Faith in Christ and keep the commandments. They go hand in hand. So it says over here, it says, by which also ye are saved, or rather what he's saying is by which you are being saved. If you keep and you stay in this faith, you will be saved and keep the commandments under the criteria you're supposed to keep. So it says, by which also ye are saved, by which also you are going to be saved by, if you continue. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Verse 2. By which also ye are saved.
If that's 8. How many letters is in the word if?
2.
That's a big word, though.
right? If is a big word. What's another big word that got little letters? But. 3-letter word, man. Huge.
Right.
It's bigger than what's that word? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's a big ass word, right? No, this if is a criterion. If. Go ahead.
By which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached unto you.
Now, what was it that Paul was preaching? Well, we read in the verse above that. What was he preaching?
The gospel.
The gospel. So he said, listen, if you stand in this and you believe in this and you stay firm in this, you're going to be saved.
Right.
You see that? You will be saved. That's what he's saying. So it's by which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory. If you keep in memory, what I preached unto you, unless ye have believed in vain, right? Unless ye have believed in vain. Well, if you believe but you don't keep the commandments, if you believe and you don't have the faith in Christ, so you don't truly believe, is that going to save you? No, it's not going to save you. So that's why it says that. It says, unless ye have believed in vain. You see that? Give me verse 3.
1 Corinthians.
So it says, unless you have believed in vain, is saying what? You can lose. You can lose your salvation. You can be written in the book of life, and you can be erased from the book of life. You can be erased from the book of life. That's why you have to constantly endure. That's why the Bible says, he or she that overcometh unto the end. Endure to the end. You see that? Unto the end. What end? The end of your life till you die, or until when Christ comes back, the end of the age of the Gentiles ruling over us. If you believe unto the end. Give me Exodus 32:32 real quick. Exodus chapter 32:32. It says, preach unto you, unless ye have believed in vain. You can lose your salvation. How do we know that? When we read Ezekiel, it says, well, the righteous man who has committed righteousness, if he falls, none of his righteousness shall be what? Remembered. You see that? So that means what? You can be righteous in this truth and then fall off, and everything you did was for nothing. It was in vain, because that's not going to save you. What you did in the past is not going to save you. What you're constantly doing unto Christ, that's what's going to matter, not what you did. And you have a lot of Israelites, so I put in my work. I don't got to go in the street and teach no more. I put my work. I don't got to teach nothing. No, that's not what the parable's talking about, right? The parable says you work unto the end. You got your penny, and you work that penny until the owner comes back.
That's right.
You see that? So give me that. 32:32 in Exodus.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 32, and verse 32. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of the book.
Read it again from the top, bro.
Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book, which thou hast written.
What book we talking about? The book of life. The book of life. Now remember, when you read in Revelations, I don't want to go to it because I don't want to draw it out, right? But when you read in Revelations, chapter 20, whenever you guys have a time, you go back and you read chapter 20, verse like almost down to verse 20, somewhere around there. He tells you that there was a book that was open. That's the book that our names and what we did is on. And then there was another book open, which is the book of life.
Right.
That's this. That's the Lord's. It may be not this exactly, but it's the commandments. So they come with the Bible. They come with the Bible, which is in the heavens. And they come with your deeds and what you did. And they start comparing it. And it gets compared. So what Moses is saying, he said, blot me out. Well, if you're not going to forgive these people, I don't want to be forgiven either. Blot me out of your book. So what does that say? That says you can get blotted out. Your salvation will be taken away from you on your own behalf. If you continue to keep the commandments, if you lose your faith, right? You have the parable of the sower who went and sowed, and what happened? Some fell on good ground. Some fell on stony ground. Some fell on not so good ground, on rocky ground, right? And then as they start to grow, the sun heats it up. Tribulation comes. Doubt comes in your mind. And what happens? You fall off. And you lose your salvation. Right? Unless you repent. We do not want this to happen. I don't want it to happen to me. I'm pretty sure you guys don't want that to happen to you, right? You want to hold on to that until the end. And the only way you can do that is by holding on until the end. Right? That's the only way you're going to do. You have to do it to the end. Right? Whatever gets thrown at you, you have to hold on. You have to hold on. Because now that we're awake, we have targets on our back. Okay, you have a target on your back. You have a target on your back. He has a target. I have a target. We have huge targets. You have a huge target on your back. Look at what we're involved in. What the Lord has thrown on our lap.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now Satan is like, okay, for a little season, right? As we say, left him for a little season. When he comes back, he's going to be so bad. Boy, what the hell's going on, Lord?
Yeah.
What's going on? You see that? We got targets on our back. Okay. So, let's go back.
1 Corinthians.
I have a tendency of rambling.
That's all right.
And since Amos doesn't know how to go like this to me, Priest Jedi, he's the one that all right, he's drifting off now. I have a tendency to drift off, right? That's what it's called, adult ADD. I got adult ADD. I tend to drift off all over the place. So you can imagine my study habits was off the hook, yo. So, all right, go ahead. Tell me where you at.
1 Corinthians 15, verse 3. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received.
Who did he receive this information from?
Christ.
Why? Because he said, I didn't receive this from man. So he didn't receive it from any regular man. The only candidate is Jesus Christ.
Right.
Okay? Now, don't let anybody, let me say this.
Don't let anybody tell you, oh, you have to say Yahushua. Oh, you have to say Yeshua. You know? Because the Bible says, in stammering lips and in another tongue shall I speak to these people. Okay? So, the language I was rose in is English and Spanish and Hebrew. You see that? A little Hebrew. So, my people mostly speak English or Spanish.
Right.
I'm going to speak to them in that language.
Me and Brother Amos was talking about it, I think, the other day when Paul was going to all these places. The people he was obviously going to the Israelites that had taken up Greek customs and all these different places, but he wasn't coming to them speaking Hebrew though. You know what I mean?
Paul spoke many languages.
But he spoke many languages. But the people, so let's just say, if he wasn't saying Yahushua to those people because they didn't know Christ by Yahushua at that time. You know what I mean? He wasn't saying Yeshua.
Right, because he was speaking.
Right.
Hey, what is the New Testament translated into Greek?
Excuse me?
Why is the New Testament translated into Greek? Because most of our people,
right, we're scattered.
Greek.
We're scattered. Speak everything.
This is what we were speaking, but most of it was Greek.
But yeah, but my point was, he wasn't when he was teaching, he wasn't saying he was using the Greek equivalent.
The Greek terms, because this is what they would understand.
Exactly.
You see that? This is what our brothers see. You have Israelites, they do this. Oh, you have to say, and I'm not gonna say his name, but I'm gonna single him out. It is what it is. I'm gonna single him out.
I see what you're saying.
He says this, you're saying Jesus Christ. I don't want to be with you no more.
Wow.
Say Jesus Christ. You have to say Yeshua. You have to say Yeshua. So now every time he reads or anybody reads for him, when he gets to Jesus Christ, he says Yeshua or Hamashiach Yeshua. That's not what it says there, first of all. But as you read on, he'll say the Most High God. Well, isn't God a pagan word? Isn't God a pagan word?
Right.
But you say Most High God. Well, no, but you don't want to deal with us because we don't say Yeshua. We say Jesus Christ. But you say God, Most High God. That's a pagan word. Hey, when I was speaking to Priest Malak, we speak English?
Right.
Is not English a pagan language?
It is.
So you're saying one word in so-called Hebrew. It's not even pure Hebrew. We don't know the pure Hebrew yet. So you're saying one word, so-called Dika in Hebrew, but everything else you're talking is all pagan. It's all pagan language. Does that make sense?
Wow.
When you look at it, does that make sense?
No, I don't.
Oh, you have to say Yeshua, but the Most High God,
whole sentence, everything.
You see, you can't say Lord because Lord means Balaam. Don't say Lord. Right?
Right. That's what they say.
That's what they say. But everything else that comes out their mouth is English. That's a pagan language. You see that? So you're talking pagan regardless, but you're getting on us because we don't want to. Because we don't want to say a shot. We say Jesus Christ. We say Jesus Christ. Now that's a problem. No, you're the problem. You need to do some more study. You know, whenever it comes across this information, it is what it is.
There's a precept real quick just for what you're bringing up.
Bring it up.
And what, you know, when some of my brothers and sisters do, they go into these different words, like bro saying Jesus, Yahweh, this one, that one. I go to this precept right here. I try to bring them back to the thought and the understanding of who we are and what we should be doing, right? So John chapter 9, verse 31. I always go here. We always, as brothers and sisters, want to try to rebuke and correct each other when it comes to this name. We do understand that our Hebrew language, native tongue, was stolen from us. We can acknowledge that. But at the same time, brothers brought out, we are cursed with a bastard tongue. We're speaking in English. So the bottom line is this right here. St. John chapter 9, verse 31 says, now we know that God heareth not sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, him he heareth. You see? So it doesn't matter if you're saying Yahweh Shai, Yeshua, this name, that name.
Right.
It says right here, now we know that God heareth not sinners. So
in what language?
Right. In what language?
In English.
He don't hear sinners. So if you're not keeping his commandments, does it matter what name you call him?
Well, maybe the creator of languages, maybe the one that scattered all the languages, maybe he don't understand these other languages. Maybe Hebrew's the only thing he understands. Maybe he don't understand it. So in order for him to hear you, you have to speak in Hebrew, right? So he can hear you. No, it's talking about your actions. Your actions. That's what determines if him hearing you or not.
Exactly.
Not the language you're speaking. Because if I say Jesus Christ, he's going to know who I'm talking about. If I say he saves, they're going to know who I'm talking about. If I say Emmanuel, they're going to know who I'm talking about. Why? Because I'm keeping the commandments that pertain to that entity.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So if you can call him Jesus, you call him Yahweh Shai, I call him Yeshua, you call him Emmanuel.
Right.
We all keep the commandments. Let's say somebody walks in and you say Jesus. They don't know nothing. They know English, so they know Jesus, right? They'll come in. You say Yahweh Shai. They don't know what the hell you're talking about.
No.
You say Yeshai. They don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Right.
I'll say Jesus. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But he's gonna look, well, you got fringes. You got fringes. You keep the Sabbath. You keep the Sabbath. You keep the Sabbath. You don't need pork. You don't need pork. Well, you gotta be talking about the same person, right?
Right.
Why? Because we're keeping the same commandments that person gave us.
Right.
Are we not? Are we not cursed with this bastard language, with this pagan language that we speak? We're cursed. I was raised in English and Spanish.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I cannot speak the ancient Hebrew, especially when that tongue was taken away from us. We don't even have the pure Hebrew. Everybody said, "Oh, you have to say the pure Hebrew." Well, they obviously never read Genesis chapter 11 when the language was confounded. Because confound the language.
Right.
We don't even have. That's why it tells you in Zephaniah or Zechariah when it says, "I shall return to you the pure language." What's that saying? We don't have the pure language. Even if we learn Hebrew, it's not the pure Hebrew from back